Welcome to another night in the NBA. This is your 10-minute recap of the last night of NBA hoops. A night with 9 games of NBA action, so a bunch of stuff. Ended pretty early though. The late game started at 9 o'clock, which is great for me on the East Coast, which means we get to talk about everything, every final, all that good stuff. But I want to start off with the main topic, which to me is Jaren Jackson Jr., who was a player for a losing team today. The Grizzlies lose to the Rockets 104-117, and the Grizzlies are now 6-17 on the season. I think the Rockets are like 11-1 at home now. They've been phenomenal. The Grizzlies were never going to win this game. That's not the point. The point is that Jaren Jackson Jr., without Ja Morant this season, who's been out with that 25-game suspension that he got before the year, has been awesome. Jaren Jackson Jr. is emerging as a legitimate superstar, and I'm not sure if people have really noticed. And it's especially been true over the past week or so, because in Jaren Jackson's last 5 games, he has averaged 33.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3.2 stocks, and is shooting 56% from the field and 49% from 3 on almost 7 attempts per game. He's been great from deep, he's been really efficient overall, and he has just been a dominant offensive force. He's taking more shots than he ever has before, and he's doing a great job of adjusting to it. He's still not a center. Jaren Jackson Jr. isn't a center. He's not going to do most of his damage in the post, and that's fine. That's why Xavier Tillman is out there for them. Santi Aldama is out there for them. I would say it was a bit of an adjustment early on with no Steven Adams, but he has really adjusted well lately and really picked it up, and he has been awesome for them. Desmond Bane has kind of slipped a little bit in terms of his play, but Jaren Jackson Jr. has taken it to yet another level, and hopefully when Ja gets back it can continue, because this is a guy who last year was the defensive player of the year. He once again is one of the best defenders in the entire league. Great shot blocker, just great at affecting shots. Even if he's not getting blocks, he's making a difference and making people miss their shots. I would say the fouling has gotten somewhat better. It's still not great. He's averaging 3.8 personal fouls over the last 5 games, which isn't awesome. I mean, that's been a consistent thing for him, has been the fouling issues, but overall a great defensive player, one of the best defensive players in the league, and is now looking like one of the best offensive big men in the league as well, and that's huge for this Rockets team, and it was really on display in this game as he goes for 44 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals on a very impressive 15 of 24 from the field. Nobody was really talking about Jaren because they were talking about Giannis, as they should. Giannis had 64 points in the victory over the Pacers today, but they're not going to pay attention to Grizzlies in a loss because who really cares would be the thing here. No Desmond Bane in this one for the Grizzlies, who was out with an illness, but Jaren definitely picked up the slack. He was phenomenal. Again, 44, 7, and 4 steals. Just doing exactly what you needed him to do. And Alperen Şengün was getting cooked, as was Jabari Smith Jr. It didn't matter who they threw on him. Jaren Jackson Jr. was going to dominate this game. And the Rockets overall this season have been one of the better defensive teams in the league, but they really had no answer for Jaren Jackson Jr. They're probably going to struggle with bigs more than they're going to struggle with wings, because Dylan Brooks, elite wing defender, Jabari, pretty solid perimeter defender, but Şengün is probably still an average to slightly below average defender. Even though he has made clear strides in that area, he's still not elite there. So Jaren Jackson Jr. was set up well in this game, and he did even better than you would have expected. And again, over his last 5 games, dominant, 33.5 points per game, and he's been awesome, man, as one of the most fun bigs to watch in the league because of the two-way dominance. He hasn't really sacrificed the defense to show us this great improvement in his offense, and I think that's huge, because right now, I'm telling you, people aren't going to agree. People are going to say it's ridiculous. Jaren Jackson Jr. is the guy for this team. If he's averaging nearly 30 points or 30 points plus on top of all the great defensive stuff, Even if Jaren averages 25 with the great defense, he's the most important player on this team, and he's the most impactful player on this team. Ja coming back is going to be huge. He is a star in his own right, but Jaren Jackson Jr. is quietly one of the league's best young stars, and he deserves a lot more respect, and that's what we're trying to do here. Give him a little more respect because he is a dominant two-way star for the Grizzlies right now and is emerging as a superstar in his own right. Imagine Rudy Gobert on defense with like the offense of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a great big who can space. I guess Karl Anthony Towns. If you just combine the two Timberwolves big men into one, joined player, that's kind of the way Jaren's playing right now. It looks kind of like Anthony Davis back when he could shoot is the level of production we're getting from Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm not sure if people understand how ridiculous he's been. People know how ridiculous Anthony Davis was when he could shoot the three ball. That's a big reason the Lakers won the championship. And Jaren Jackson Jr. looks like that level of player right now. The offense is dominant. The defense is as good as ever. And Jaren Jackson Jr. deserves more respect, is one of the more dominant big men in the league today. But that's it for Jaren. So now let's shoot around the league, look at different outcomes, and try to get an idea of what happened on this night of NBA hoops. So, in other action, we did have 8 other games on the night, a bunch of interesting ones, but let's just start with the poop-fecta games, the games where the teams playing are bad, decent to good teams against bad teams, starting off with the Lakers beating the Spurs. They only win by 3, 122 to 119, but that's because the Spurs were picking up a bunch of garbage time numbers. This game was not close. The Spurs win the fourth quarter by 15. The Lakers were up 18 heading into the fourth quarter. The game wasn't close. It just wasn't. The Lakers handle them and send the Spurs to their 18th straight loss. Anthony Davis dominant, a continued stretch of dominance recently, 37 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 steals, but Victor Wembanyama continues to be great despite the team being awful, 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 steals. The Sixers beat the Pistons 129 to 111, behind 41 points and 11 rebounds from Joel Embiid, who had 30 in the first half, and they hand the Pistons their 21st straight loss. The Pistons now are tied for the 5th longest losing streak in NBA history, and it doesn't feel like it's going to let up anytime soon. The Pistons are awful. It kind of feels like they're never going to win again. The Pelicans beat the Wizards 142 to 122. Despite no Zion Williamson, an easy win for them. The Lakers also didn't have LeBron in another aspect I didn't mention, but the Pelicans cooked them, win by 20 points, and send the Wizards to 3-20. Over their past 52 games now, these 3 teams have 1 win, which is the Wizards beating the Pistons. It's embarrassing. 1-51 over their last 52 games combined. The worst bottom 3 teams I can remember in the NBA in quite some time. The Heat beat the Hornets despite no Bam Adebayo, 115 to 104, behind 23 points from Duncan Robinson. The Heat moved to 14-10 on the year, but Terry Rozier continues his impressive play with LaMelo being out, putting up 28 points, 7 assists, and 4 steals. The Raptors beat the Hawks 135 to 128 in one of the best games of the day, 33-7-7 for Pascal Siakam, and Trae Young puts up a crazy 35 points and 17 assists despite the loss. Atlanta is really struggling right now. The Bucks beat the Pacers 140 to 126, behind arguably the greatest game of Giannis Antetokounmpo's career. They lost to the Pacers in the semifinals of the in-season tournament, and boy was Giannis saying that's not happening again, because he was dominant. 64 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 steals for Giannis. I believe that's a career high, and he breaks the Bucks franchise record. It is the highest scoring game in Bucks franchise history. Giannis was phenomenal. And like Anthony Davis did to the Pacers, bigs are going to destroy this Pacers team. One of the greatest offenses we've ever seen, but their defense is atrocious, especially against dominant big men, and Giannis showed that once again. The Nets beat the Suns 116 to 112, behind 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists for Spencer Dinwiddie. I believe Cam Thomas had 24, but only on like 38% shooting, has still struggled with efficiency getting his points, but they spoil the debut of the Suns' big 3. Devin Booker, 34 points and 12 assists in the loss. The Nets just continue to win games. and they are now 13-10 on the year. Very impressive start to the year for Brooklyn. And in the last game of the night, we have Jazz versus Knicks, an upset as the Jazz win 117-113, thanks to Lauri Markkanen returning and playing well. They also get 26 points from Colin Sexton, and the Knicks get 32 points and 12 rebounds, as well as 6 assists from Julius Randle in the loss. He's been really good lately, is having a really good season. Julius Randle deserves flowers. He is a big reason why the Knicks have been as solid as they have, and especially lately, he's been great. But now, as I always want to do, let's get into the last segment of the night, which is the top 5 players according to the Real Sports app. I want to do this to kind of showcase great performances on any given night, and with 9 games tonight, we had plenty to choose from, and let's just start off with number 1. You know who it is. Giannis Antetokounmpo with 64 points, 14 rebounds, and 71% from the field, dominant. A 10.1, one of the best rated games of the season according to the Real app. Trae Young, 35 points and 17 assists, coming in at number 2. Joel Embiid comes in at 3 with 41 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. Jaren Jackson Jr. at number 4 with 44 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals. And then it's Anthony Davis rounding out the top 5 with 37 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 steals as well. It's one of the best nights at the top that we've had this season so far. A bunch of great performances and just a bunch of cool stuff going on. But that'll do it for this night in the NBA. Another night in the NBA. Thanks for watching. Think about subscribing. I'm on the road to 12,000 subscribers, so if you enjoy the daily recaps, think about sticking around and watching some more of them. But that'll do it for me, so I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.